For the Lions, for a team that went 3-13-1, that just had 3 wins, just like the Jaguars, but except they had 1 tie, which we'll get into in a bit. The Lions, I gotta say, for this team that loves to Detroit so much, they actually have a little bit of hope for the future. Why is that? Well, let's talk about it. The Lions in their last several seasons, they've gone 4-12, 5-11, 3-13 in the last couple of years. So recently, the Lions went 5-11 in 2020, and during that point, they fired their previous head coach Matt Patricia, as well as their previous general manager Bob Quinn. This was after the Thanksgiving blowout loss to the Houston Texans. Detroit ended up hiring former Saints assistant coach Dan Campbell to be the next head coach. He was an offensive-minded coach that used to play tight end in the 2000s. And as their new general manager, Brad Holmes, he was a longtime college scout for the LA Rams, and he became the new general manager and the new executive vice president. So Holmes had to decide what to do with Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford was still on the team. Stafford made it pretty clear that his time as Detroit is over, that he wanted to go to a team in a winning situation. So what Holmes decided to do in his first move as the general manager was make the blockbuster trade of trading away Matthew Stafford to the LA Rams for 2 first-round picks, a 3rd-round pick, and getting the Rams' old stack of trash, Jared Goff, in Detroit. So it was pretty evident that Detroit was in full rebuild mode. Throughout the offseason, they weren't really that active in free agency, and a lot of their free agent signings were 1 to 2 year rentals. They also lost Kenny Golladay, their best receiver throughout the years. They did re-sign their key defensive end Romeo Okawa, and their draft was pretty much where they would do all their work. They selected with their 7th overall pick Oregon tackle Penei Sewell and USC wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round, who we'll discuss in a little bit. So looking into this Lions team preseason, they looked one of the prime teams that would contend for the number 1 overall pick. When you look at this roster that had Jared Goff under center and a defense that was going to get exploited big, it seemed that way of the Lions being one of those teams that was going to get roasted for a good chunk of their games. But in all actuality, when you look at their first 8 games, aside from the Philadelphia Eagles game in, I think it was week 8, so Dan Campbell actually had them fighting. He actually had them competing until the final whistle, and they only lost by just 1 touchdown in 6 of those games. Especially when you look at the one in week 3 against the Ravens, man, that was heartbreaking. But during that time, the offense looked decent, despite Jared Goff goofing it up most of the time. They would end up having some notably good players, like Penei Sewell, who I think he moved to, I forgot what his position was. I'm not sure if he was left or right tackle, but I think he swapped between one of the other 2. But either way, he did noticeably better if he made a switch. They also had running back DeAndre Swift, tight end TJ Hawkinson, and then eventually later on, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown became a key foundational piece. The defense, though, was not great at all. The secondary missed a lot of tackles, and they would severely lapse in coverages, which allow receivers to pretty much roast them for much of the game. The pass rush was also severely lacking. They didn't really have anybody in the defensive line, mainly because they were getting injured. So, nonetheless, they reached the midway point. 0-8. I think that they all at that point when they faced the Pittsburgh Steelers, they got their first win. They tied the Pittsburgh Steelers, but damn, that was embarrassing. So it wasn't until week 13 where they faced the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins, and the Vikings typically shit the bed, And it all it took for the Lions to get their first actual win of the season, well, a lapse in coverage by the Vikings' terrible defense. And Amon-Ra St. Brown got the winning touchdown from Jared Goff, and the Lions got their first win. So I guess that's a plus for the Lions. So overall, oh yeah, I also forgot, they also had a upset-filled blowout against a Cardinals team that was trying to compete against the LA Rams for the NFC West. Yes, they completely destroyed Kyler Murray in that offense. And I think, in my opinion, was much better than the Vikings game that got them their first win. Goff would outplay his former NFC West rival, Kyler Murray, in week 15. So overall, they did go 3-13-1. No, 3-13-1? Yeah. I don't know. I don't remember these records anymore. But anyway, they went 3-13-1. And yes, they have the number 2 overall pick in the draft. But when you look at the future of this Lions team, I mean, sure, they have crappy ownership, but what Dan Campbell is doing for this team, it could be something good in a couple of years. It's just that don't have him call plays on offense. No, just don't. So going into the offseason, going into free agency, going into the draft, there's some things to address. You have to address the defense, because the Lions were pretty bad at it. They were pretty bad. They have to address safety and corner. And for as much as the Lions were bad on defense when it came to coverages, they weren't really able to generate many turnovers. So if they can get a quality upgrade in their secondary, it could lead to some good things for the defensive unit and not get them as roasted as much. Wide receiver, I mean, they got a potential good player in Amon-Ra St. Brown, but they're still lacking someone on the opposite side. So especially for next season, when teams are going to have enough film on Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Lions are going to have to find another piece on the opposite end for whoever the QB is going to be. Most likely it's going to be Jared Goff. For Goff or whoever the quarterback is to throw to, because people are going to be going after St. Brown next season. Quarterback, I mean, I'm not sure if the Lions are going to try to address it this offseason, but it's something that they could possibly consider. But looking at this year's quarterback prospects, I don't think it's worth the risk. Especially not in the first round. Not in the first round. Maybe in the later rounds, possibly, but maybe they should just stick it out one more year with Jared Goff. Maybe. So, there's some things that Dan Campbell's Lions still need to address in the offseason, like corner, safety. They could use another edge rusher too. I think I forgot to mention that. They could also they could consider quarterback, but it's not looking in the cards right now for them. So there's still some things for Dan Campbell's Lions to do if they ever want to make a strong push towards being even a wild card contender. But when you see their 2021, sure, they won 3 games. But when you look how they, even if they lost, just look at how they play. And when you see their 2021, they showed some signs. They showed some glimpses of promise toward that goal of potentially competing in the in at least the wild card in at least a couple of years.